How many times have you looked at someone you admire and thought, they just have it, that they were born confident, that they never doubted themselves? That fear was never part of their story. But what if it's actually the other way around? What if most of the people you now see as confident, successful, or mentally strong started exactly where you are, with a knot in their stomach, with self-doubt, with the fear of looking stupid? The difference is that they did something most people never do. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They acted before they believed in themselves. And that's what fake it till you make it is really about. Not the way most people think. It doesn't mean pretending you're a millionaire when you can't even afford your rent. It doesn't mean creating a fake lifestyle for social media. It doesn't mean lying to other people. It means something much deeper. It means stopping the habit of waiting until you feel like the person you want to become. Because more often than not, that feeling comes after the action. Maybe you've told yourself that if you were more confident, you'd finally walk up to that woman you've been thinking about for weeks. If you had more discipline, you'd finally start going to the gym. If you felt more motivated, you'd start your own business or quit the job that's draining the life out of you. But think about it for a second. Where is that confidence supposed to come from if you've never done any of those things before? How can you expect to feel certain about something you've never experienced? It's like expecting to know how to swim before you've ever stepped into the water. It doesn't work that way. And yet millions of people live exactly like that, waiting for a feeling that only exists as a consequence of action. Your brain is an incredible machine, but it has one major weakness. It hates uncertainty. It craves familiarity. That's why it constantly tries to convince you that staying where you are is safer than taking one step forward. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in a job that slowly destroys you, a relationship that leaves you emotionally exhausted, or a life that stopped exciting you years ago. To your brain, familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. That's why you can desperately want to change your life. But the moment it's time to take the first step, your mind suddenly comes up with 10 reasons to wait. Tomorrow, next week, when work slows down, when life gets less stressful, after summer, after the holidays, when you have more money, when the timing is better, the list never ends. Do you remember your first day at a new job? You probably felt completely out of place. You didn't know where anything was. You questioned every little decision. You were afraid of making mistakes. Now, you barely think about those same tasks. They're automatic. So what changed? You didn't wait until you felt experienced. You became experienced because you kept showing up. Every shift added another tiny piece of evidence that you were capable. Confidence didn't come before the work. It came because of the work. Imagine a guy who's never set foot inside a gym. He buys a membership. He thinks about it all day. That evening, he stands outside the entrance, staring through the glass. Inside, he sees people who look strong. He immediately feels like he doesn't belong. He imagines everyone watching him, judging him, laughing at him. So he turns around and goes home. The next day, he tells himself he'll start next Monday. But here's what's interesting. Almost every person inside that gym has stood in the exact same spot. They've all felt like outsiders at some point. The only difference is that they walked through the door. That's something most people never realize. Confident people don't look confident because they've never been afraid. They look confident because they've faced that fear so many times that it no longer controls their lives. The fear didn't disappear. It just stopped driving the car. How many times have you stayed quiet during a meeting because you thought your idea wasn't good enough, only to watch someone else say almost the exact same thing and get praised for it? How many times have you rewritten a text message over and over because you didn't want to sound awkward? How many job opportunities have you looked at, only to close the page because you didn't meet every single requirement? Meanwhile, someone else submitted the application anyway, not because they were certain they'd get the job, but because they understood something important. Rejection hurts a lot less than spending years wondering what if. There's a fascinating psychological principle that's surprisingly simple. Your brain doesn't just shape your behavior also shapes your brain. In other words, when you repeatedly act like someone who keeps their promises, your brain slowly begins to believe that you're a reliable person. When you go running consistently, you stop saying, "I'm trying to become someone who runs." Instead, you start saying, "I'm a runner." Your identity doesn't change because of the words you repeat in front of a mirror. It changes because of what you repeatedly do, especially when nobody is watching. That's why so many people fail. They try to change the feeling before they change the behavior. Every morning they wait for motivation to magically appear. but motivation is unreliable. Some days it's there. Some days it disappears. If you build your life on motivation, you're building a house on sand, a few bad days, and everything starts falling apart. But when you build your life on habits, on small actions you take regardless of your mood, you create something much stronger. Maybe you've promised yourself that starting Monday, everything would change. No more junk food. Wake up at 5 every morning. Train 6 days a week. Read 1 book every week. Stop wasting money. Delete social media. Become a completely different person overnight. And what usually happens? By Wednesday evening, you're exhausted. By Thursday, you're already making excuses. By Friday, you've convinced yourself that the whole plan was unrealistic anyway. Why? Because you tried to become a completely different person in a single day. Real change doesn't work like that. You change one small habit, then another, from the outside. It doesn't look impressive, but inside, your identity is quietly changing. Imagine 2 men who both want to lose 40 pounds. The first one spends every day imagining the body he'll have someday. He watches motivational videos. He buys supplements. He dreams about how much happier life will be once he finally loses the weight. The second man simply puts on his shoes and goes for a 20-minute walk. The next day, he does it again, then again. A month later, the number on the scale might not have changed very much, but something far more important has changed. One man is still thinking about becoming someone different. The other is already living like a man who takes care of himself, and that difference will determine where they both end up a year from now. So, fake it till you make it doesn't mean pretending you've already made it. It means choosing to live according to the values of the person you want to become, long before the results show up. Want to become dependable? Keep your word, especially when you don't feel like it. Want to become confident? Speak, even if your voice shakes. Want to become disciplined? Do what you promised yourself, even when nobody would know if you didn't. That's not pretending. That's training. And this is exactly where most people get it wrong. They think feeling uncertain means they're doing something wrong. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if that uncomfortable feeling is proof that you're finally leaving behind the place that's kept you stuck for years? When you start lifting weights, your muscles hurt. When you learn a new language, you make mistakes. When you start a business, you make bad decisions. When you begin building a better life, you're probably going to feel like an imposter for a while. Not because you are one, but because your old identity hasn't caught up with your new actions yet. Almost everyone who's ever accomplished something meaningful has lived through this. Their first presentation was terrible. Their first video was awkward. Their first workout looked clumsy. Their first attempt at changing their life ended in failure. The difference is that they didn't treat those moments as proof they weren't good enough. They accepted them as part of the process. And maybe that's exactly where you are right now, not standing on top of the mountain, just standing at the bottom, looking up, wondering whether taking that first step is even worth it. Because from where you're standing, the climb looks endless. But no one has ever reached the top by standing still and staring at the mountain. That's the paradox. The biggest obstacle usually isn't a lack of talent, money, or time. It's the belief that you have to feel ready before you begin. But readiness doesn't appear overnight. It comes from doing things before you feel ready. Think about learning to drive. At first, every movement feels overwhelming. Later, it becomes automatic. Confidence works the same way. Most people think confidence means having no fear, but real confidence is knowing that even if things don't go as planned, you'll handle it. Once you stop demanding certainty, taking the first step becomes much easier. How many opportunities have you missed just to avoid one awkward moment? Think about the guy who spent years preparing to start a business, but never actually starts. He doesn't need more knowledge. He needs the courage to be a beginner. That's true for almost everything in life. Nobody skips the uncomfortable stage. The people who succeed simply stop treating it like failure. Every action you repeat becomes part of who you are. The first workout is hard. The 50th is normal. Your world doesn't change, your standards do. Too many people postpone living, telling themselves they'll enjoy life after they lose weight, make more money, or become more successful. But another year passes, and nothing changes. Fake it till you make it isn't about fooling other people. It's about acting like the person you want to become before the results appear. Your identity isn't built by what you think. It's built by what you repeatedly do. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. The future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build, one decision at a time. And eventually, the person you were once pretending to be becomes the person you truly are. And remember, your life isn't shaped when everything is going your way. It's shaped in the moments when you don't feel like it, when you're exhausted, and you choose to keep going anyway. That's when your future is decided. If this video gave you something to think about, let me know in the comments what you took away from it. Until next time, stay strong.